I don't know what it is, but every time I eat tomato, anything with tomato in it, I always stain my shirt. Always. It never fails. And I hate this. It means now I gotta bleach that part of the shirt. Same thing happens when I eat spaghetti, too. I always stain my shirt. It doesn't matter how careful I am. I look down, this time I swear I haven't spilled any ketchup at all. And then lo and behold, I look down and I don't even remember doing this. And there's a huge ketchup stain. So, and then you're left with this dilemma like, what the hell happened? I don't remember dropping French fry on my shirt. Anyway, I was looking at prices for bushels of oyster. A bushel of oyster used to cost like $25. That's how much you could buy a bushel for. That was only 10 years ago. $70 for a bushel of oysters really doesn't sound right, you know? It sounds crazy. But here in St. Augustine, they're 45. That sounds more closer to the truth. About 30 to $40 if you're a restaurant. Yeah, for a bushel. And then, I knew they were going to go on about the oil spill thing. We're used to paying 20 to 30 pounds. 20 for 30 pounds. See, that sounds about right because that's what it was like 10 years ago. I remember buying a bushel for 19.99 and then just taking a shucking knife and going to town and eating them all right there. Dun, dun, dun. Drama. But anyway, what I said earlier about I was there was something that I was going on about the water. Here's the thing I don't understand about our water and the cost of the water. Maybe someone can educate me on this. I can go down to any grocery store, any store that carries grocery items, and you can walk around, and in that store, you will find a place where you buy the large plastic tubs of water, right? And this is filtered water. And not only that, a lot of them, I would say like 9 out of 10 of those grocery stores, have a place where you can just take the plastic tub, the empty one, you put it in a machine and you press a button and it just fills it back up and you just pay for the water and then you put your cap back on it. And so this is what I don't get, okay? This is what confuses me about this town. As a residential customer, as a customer of the water system here in this town in Florida, I pay more for the water that comes out of my tap than if I drive down the street and go to the grocer and pump the water directly out of the tap. And it does go through a filter, it goes through one of those reverse osmosis filters. But it is still hooked up to the same tap. There's no different tap that goes to your house than the same tap that is at the store 2 miles away. So you drive down to the store 2 miles away and you pump the water into your jug, and you can get that water for 40 to 50 cents a gallon. But if you go home and turn the tap on, the same tap, mind you, the same tap that the store is filling your jugs with, you have to pay $1.20 to $1.30 for the same water from the city. Oh, can anyone explain that to me? It's weird. It's strange. It's kooky. I don't understand how stuff like that happens, unless they're doing price. Like, yeah, I don't think a store uses enough to get a special price on water. It's really weird. Samats. Stamas. Real stamas. People really egg sucking dog? I don't think so. People's names are really weird. That's a little tiny boat. That's the kind of boat that's really fun in very calm, tepid waters. I killed the fried oysters yesterday and no gout. I don't know what is that supposed to be a joke or something? I think I had nerve damage instead. That's awesome. Uh, I was just looking up seafood prices because I remember buying bushels or half bushels of oysters. And you pay a little bit more for the half bushel, and it would just take them home and shuck them, and then put them in the steamer. I just couldn't eat raw oysters. Yeah, the big sign that says you may get hepatitis from oysters. Yeah. When your food gives you an STD, it's time to stay away from it or cook the hell out of it. Look at that. It's a blank screen. Oh. Hey, you remember that show, Outer Limits? I love that show. Look at that. This is stuff I've collected over the years. I know, a guy collecting stuffed animals and weird oddities. I like the bunny. Just things I thought were cool. And I got this over there at Alligator Point. That was, yeah, it was after the waters turned to sewer over there. I just really like there. I think it's brass, cast brass. I really need to clean this desk up. Let's get a box and dump everything in it. My dog. I have tons of chew bones, and she chews everything else but the bones. That's a typical female dog for you. They have some kind of bitter tendency not to do what you want them to, which to me is kind of funny. That's humorous, I guess is a better word to describe that. I'm gonna go to sleep. That's what you use for gout, if you have it. It helps change the chemistry of your body, especially your bloodstream. What always has helped me was a really high concentrated omega-3 and CoQ10. That really makes a difference. I don't know if you can see it, but my fingernails. You can tell if you have heart disease from looking at your fingernails. I mean, besides the fact that I bite my fingernails off. But if you don't see some white on your fingernails, see, usually my fingernails are red like that. If you don't see white on your fingernails, it means that you have heart disease. You have some blood flow problems. And I've had it probably since I was a kid. Been battling that. But, broccoli, omega-3s, vegetables, and stuff. It helps. Makes a big difference, especially on the inflammation. Just eating healthy. But it's kind of hard. If your mother or your father, whoever it is that's cooking, doesn't teach people how to cook, or you grow up in a family where you don't have any knowledge of cooking. So when it comes time for you to start working 12-hour days and having no time but sleeping and working and sleeping and working, you're going to opt for prepaid or prepared meals. And that's where you get into problems, because they put all kinds of chemicals in those prepared meals to keep them, how do you say it? The preservatives that they put in the foods and the meals. And then so you end up microwaving it, and you end up doing that for 10 or 20 years of your life. And then when you're done, you've got digestive diseases. Tons of digestive problems. And then sometimes it's just hereditary. Like getting hernias, stomach ulcers and hernias. It's usually hereditary. It's passed from parent to child. A lot of that stuff can be, you can help yourself by taking omega-3s, concentrated omega-3. And well, the only problem is all that stuff is made with hexane. It's all extracted from hexane, which I wish they would do that in the stores. I wish it would be a labeling requirement to put which oils are extracted using chemicals and which ones are expeller pressed, and then have some kind of like range, a temperature range for the expeller head, so that you know. Because right now in other countries, every country but this one, they can say something is cold pressed, when in reality the temperature reaches like basically fuming levels. Well, they call it smoke point. And if an oil reaches such a high temperature that it gets almost to its smoke point, they can still call it cold pressed, which is kind of ridiculous. But I've looked at the whole issue of labeling requirements are everything, because a company basically isn't going to go against the labeling requirements, because it's not financially sound for them. And if they have to put something on the labels, it's why they spend so much money lobbying against that, because they don't want people to be able to make a sound choice. And when they do have the ability to make a sound choice based on labeling laws, they go and they muck it up by putting something stupid like creating a marketing word and then allowing that to be printed on something. Like made up words that mean nothing for food. They make people think that the food is healthy when it's not. And get your dose of hexane. Only a little drop will give you bowel cancer. I was just watching all the garbage on YouTube. Hey, Sophie. And I don't know what else to say. I made fish sticks today. I don't know why. I just had this craving for fish sticks, because I haven't had it in like 2 or 3 years. I've forgotten what it tasted like, so I'm like, okay, I'll buy a bag of fish sticks. And then I thought, okay, well, I need to buy some potatoes with it too, so I bought some cut fries. And then cooked them all in the oven. It was good, except for the ketchup. It somehow magically got all over my clothes, even though I don't remember dropping any ketchup anywhere. which is the problem I have with ketchup. It's so cool how this phone can focus while it's filming. They used to be able to only do that with cameras or camcorders, and then they created some stupid law to segregate the market. How do they call it? Separate the market, so that something had to be labeled as a camcorder if it could record over 30 minutes. And it's kind of weird because I know it from the technical standpoint, like the way a chip works and the software works to record, and there's no such limitation. It has to do with tariffs because they taxed camcorders different than they taxed cameras. And then when cameras and camcorders basically did the same thing, because sometimes they have the same sensor, and some cameras have CMOS sensors in them, and so they can record just as good as a camcorder. And they didn't want that, you see, because of the lobbying that they did for the import taxes, because they would tax cameras differently than they would tax camcorders. So they created an artificial limitation based on the law, which doesn't make any sense because it's just a software limitation. And you can easily circumvent it or get around it by compiling your own software that doesn't have the limitation, and it'll use the sensor the same. And what else? That's all there is. There's not much going on. Oddly enough, it's still freezing in the rest of the United States right now. But today was it was quite warm outside. Matter of fact, yesterday was, when was it? February 17th. I had to turn the air conditioner on. I mean, I was sweating in the house. It was to the point where I had to turn the air conditioner on just to cool it down a little bit and get the humidity out of the house. And it's hard to believe that it's still there's still ice. It's still snowing up north. But when it comes time for summer, I'll pay for it, because down here it gets so hot. It's like you could bake an egg on the sidewalk. Most everybody stays indoors in the summer. There's nothing like when you go on vacation in the summertime. If you're crazy enough to go on vacation in like at peak temperature time in the south, which means you're from the north, because no one from the south vacations in July. They just don't do it. It's for crazy people. You'll stay inside. Like when I go to a beach, I go outside. Sometimes I get dragged to the beach in July, and I'll go outside for 2 or 3 hours, and I'm done. I mean, I'm thoroughly baked through and through. I've had too much sun. I feel like my skin's about to peel off, and I want to go inside. It's too hot. It's too freaking hot. And then you walk inside, and cool air hits you, and you're like, I love it. This is the reason why I wanted to learn about gas phase changes and learn about gas pressures. The secret art of scroll compressors and gas phase changing to keep the air humidity correct, and to keep it nice and cool. There you are. What are you doing? Hey, come here. Oh, look. She refuses to play. There's only one game she plays, and that's laser. Laser! See, she loves laser. That dog's crazy. You can break her out of anything, even chasing. She'll be chasing an animal, and if I scream laser at her, she'll stop and run over to me. Laser like is some kind of code word that circumvents every single thing in her brain. I don't know what it is. I guess she's a scientist dog.